Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Drive. Today we have a wonderful BMW M3 and it's the sixth generation of the BMW M3 row, and for the first time they use an all-wheel drive system on the car. So we need to find out, is this a real BMW M3? Does it bring us the experience? Find out in the video. Let's talk about the design of the BMW M3 Competition, because we all have problems with this controversial two front grills. Everybody hated it, everybody shitted on it, but now, like BMW always does, after a couple of months of passing by and you see this car rolling, driving on the streets, people are talking about it. You see it is beautiful, it is a nice car, it gets every attention it deserves. You start liking it, and that's what BMW does the best. They bring a car out much like the E38 converted to the E65, to the newer model, and then all of a sudden we start liking it. And this happened with the BMW M3. So let's talk about the front. There's two big front grills. They are necessary because they give the car cool air it needs. The engine produces big heats. It's normal, it has 510 horsepower. Those intakes, they are here to give the intercooler fresh air so it can cool it down and send it to the engine. This is actually the first M3 that I've seen that doesn't have the power dome in the middle of the car. I miss it a little because I'm used to seeing a big power dome giving me some angles at the middle of the bonnet. But what it has though is it has those two little bumps here that are replacing the power dome, giving the car a little bit of an aggressive look at the front and kind of melting the aggressive big two grills, giving it a nicer look. The lines are wonderful, of course. BMW coming to the carbon roof, also familiar like in the last generation M4, like in the M3 E92, they all had the carbon roof, wonderfully made. This one also. Let's talk about the heart, the most important thing about the car, and my favorite, the engine. And boy, this one is a rock star, man. It is called the S58. It's a more advanced version of the B58 that is used in the Supra and in the Z4 and all of the different BMW models. It has 510 horsepower out of 3 liters, twin turbocharged, and produces 650 Newton meters of torque. What they have also done in the engine bay is giving it those tread bars that are really giving the car more stability when turning into corners and giving it a better stiffness. And all of those little parts, all of those components make the car go 7 minutes and 30 seconds around the Nurburgring. That is insanely fast. So, engine is finished. Let's look at the wheels. So those black wheels are forged lightweight wheels. What do we have here? We have an M compound brake behind them. So it has a 380mm disc at the front. It is a 6-cylinder caliper and it brakes like crazy. You could, on optimal conditions, decelerate from 200 to 0 in 128 meters. And those are steel brakes called M compound brakes. And this is the first one. Also, you can change the color of the calipers. You can take a blue one, a red one, or a black one. Let's look at the back wheels. This is interesting also. So the brake disc is 370 millimeters. But what is different at the back part of the car? Well, we don't have a 19-inch wheel. We have a 20-inch wheel with 285 at the back. And I'm not really sure if that is correct, so you have to fact check me on that. But I believe the weight distribution of the car is 46.9% at the back and 53.1% at the front. So I think they made the wheel bigger so the car is more stable. Okay people, so we are at the back of the BMW, the ones you are going to see because you have no chance of overtaking a BMW M3. It still has those wide hips, those wide shoulders. It still has this very, very nice look. It much more looks like a facelift to me. Has this carbon fiber little spoiler here. The exhaust pipes are as big as my fist, 4 of them, plus this wonderful big diffuser for more airflow and stability. It is very, very nicely made. We are now in cruise mode, in road mode. Everything is very comfortable, everything is efficient, not much fuel to be used, not much power to be used, all-wheel driven car, everything is all right. And yes, you heard that right, this is an all-wheel driven car. It's the first BMW M3 with an X-Drive system. And the X-Drive system in this car is very interesting because you can choose if you want it to be a rear-wheel drive, if you want it to be a full all-wheel drive, or if you want the power to be more at the rear wheels, so you can oversteer a little while driving in four-wheel drive sports mode. So since we're driving on some twisty roads, I am going to transform the car now to a very competitive beast. And I have a couple of settings that I can do. I can first configure my settings here via the setup button. When I click the setup button, I can choose how I want the engine to be, how I want the suspension to be. You have Efficient Sport and Sport Plus on every one. You can do also something crazy. You can say, okay, I'm going to turn the ESP up. When I press the M mode button, I can choose from road to sport or trek. So what I can do now is I can change it to something even more radical, into race mode, track mode. So hold the button. Now he asks you, do you want to activate the track mode? I say yeah. Now I just see the gauges, no intelligent safety, nothing, just pure driving experience. We can drive a little bit faster, and I am in all-wheel drive mode. And you can tell it is crazy how this car turns in. A little oversteer. Holy fuck. So you saw there, the all-wheel drive system, it gave me a little oversteer, so it's not blocking me really. It is much more helping me out to get the car out of the corner the fastest way possible. We were now in four-wheel drive mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the setup, and I want us to drive in two-wheel drive mode. When you now accelerate, you feel the typical BMW pull, the BMW pull. So what do I mean by that? Every time I was driving a fast BMW, I always felt like when you step on the gas on a rear-wheel driven BMW, it kind of pulls you in one or the other side. Now with this one, yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know how they did that, but the sounds, oh, every gear shift is just crazy. So it is a little bit less stable in rear-wheel drive mode, that's the fact. But I mean, we're driving on Pilot Sport 4S, so that is the tires that Porsche is using also. So it isn't really that bad. We want to drive a little bit more competitive. So I really do love how the car turns into corners. It feels much more stable than the old one. And they have done some things to make it even more stiff than the old BMW. Everything is better. They have an all-wheel drive system, of course. And as soon as you get over those 4,000 RPM, man, you are really driving like crazy. And listen to that sound. Rear-wheel drive mode. That's what I'm talking about. As soon as you put the car in two-wheel drive mode, let's switch to four-wheel drive mode again. And you can, I swear to God, you can instantly tell, as soon as you switch to four-wheel drive mode, how the front, how your steering wheel starts engaging more in the road. It's very, very interesting. Let's see the setup, four-wheel drive sports mode. Yeah, like same kind of corner, step on the throttle, pulls you out, nothing happens. Wow, 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 wow. I have to admit, this really isn't, how can I say this? This really isn't the typical BMW M drive anymore. It is not as enjoyable as the old M cars, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. The problem is with this car, it's too fast. It really is too fast. Every time you step on the throttle, you are driving too fast. I mean, even here, I can go around those corners at a speed that is really, it's just not good for the mind. Your brain is, the G-force that the car is producing with the grip, it's really not that BMW experience. Every other BMW M3 before, when you stopped the car and started to accelerate, the tires were burning. You burned rubber like crazy. Watch this. All-wheel drive mode. D. That was 100 right there. That was a 3.3 seconds, 0 to 100. And that's what I mean. How can you drive this car on the mountain road? You can't. It's too fast. You would be much more better off driving an old car, driving an E92 for example. You have to rev it until it gets going. This here, just press the throttle and it jumps forward. It's exploding forward. It is crazy. It's really crazy to think of that an M3 would get on this level. I wasn't going to say it, but it feels to me much like a 911, really. Like a 4S model of it. It's just crazy fast. And I have a similar feeling, and I mean, I drove the 992 911 with 450 horsepower, and I have a similar feeling driving it. It's not that you don't have the engine in the back and all of that, but it's like you're driving on railroads, man. It's really absolutely crazy.